Hello everyone, my name is Mason. Welcome to my channel. I talk about whatever I feel like and I show y'all how to slay and be real every day. So today we're gonna be discussing Love Island. First and foremost, Janae Hive, step to the front. Janae Hive, step to the front.
Me, and me.
I've been waiting for you to get high.
If you stand, Leia, I know what you are. I'm gonna leave it at that for right now. But I know I'm very familiar with what you are. I know exactly what you are actually. But we'll get into that later. Today we are gonna be discussing reality TV. So I love reality TV. I love Jersey Shore, like Snooki Hive, Till the Day I Die. Like I really don't play when it comes to Snooki. But also a part of me like watches these shows like the same way one would watch, like, I don't want to say Animals in the Jungle, but like like you could see the psychological the psychology of what they be doing. Love Island is the exact same as the Stanford prison experiment. This is, people who joke about these things being social experiments, but this is really a social experiment. Like this, just walk with me for a second, you guys. Just give me a second. Okay, so people trash reality TV, but as a reality TV lover, I think it's a really good way to observe like human dynamics. You can really see power structures, implicit, what is it called? Implicit bias? Implicit bias. It's a really good way to study human behavior and to see like how hive mind takes place, especially these ones where they're isolated from the world. So yeah, it's a really good way to observe power dynamics, social currency, and desirability. Those are the three things we're going to be breaking down later. So yeah, so these reality shows focus on a certain age group, and they try their best with diversity, but honestly the fact that they think it's diverse with having like a couple of people of color in the cast just really shows that this is very Western based. Like, let me just say, like, a lot of this stuff is based on Western politics, Western societies, Western beauty standards. So yeah, they focus on everybody within a certain age group. They have both the sexes. They're trying to be more inclusive with the queer, but LGBT, we ain't even finna get into that. Well, that's a whole nother video. Anyway, so the reason why I say that these reality TV shows are a good way to watch human experiments, I'm using Love Island because I feel like, honestly, it's the most controlled environment. They take their phones and they put them on an island for like 2 months with these strangers. I think that's a really good way to see how people are going to react without the internet, without family, without friends, just to see, just based off of their own instinct, what they're going to do. So, and I feel like they're pretty airtight with making sure they don't have phones with connection, or like they give them like a play phone, but girl, you not texting nobody. They sending each other postcards and letters and shit. Like you're not talking to anybody. So I think Love Island is the most controlled environment, and that's why we see the same patterns like every single season. So yeah, that's why I chose to focus on Love Island for this study. So I have my big brain hat on. I do my most slaying and best thinking in this hat, and we're going to be discussing Love Island and how it shows desirability, social currency, and power structures. So the first segment we're going to talk about is desirability. Now, I want to make sure we got the facts, we got all the tea. So let's start with the definition of desirability so we know exactly what we're talking about here. So desirability is the quality of being desirable. And the root word being desire, we're gonna do the definition of, we're gonna say the definition of desire. So desire is defined as having pleasing qualities or properties, attractive, a desirable location, and then the second definition this is what I'm going to be pulling from, and this says it all right here. Desire is worth having, seeking, or doing. That worth having. That's we're going to get into that later. Okay, so I think the best way to talk about this is with an example. So we're going to use Mimi and Io from this last season of the UK Love Island. So when it comes to desirability, yeah, I think people have an idea of what they find attractive and what they're supposed to find attractive. And I think people, and I will say in Western society, I think men are more often than not base what they find desirable, what they base attractive is largely based on the opinion of those around them. So yeah, we're gonna use Mimi and Io. Everyone, when we talk about types, the infamous type, hey, she's not my type, the type is everything. Who your type is says a lot about the person and what the person values. So everyone says their type is personality, but we all know that's BS, because why? If it's based on personality, then why does everyone have someone who is lighter, who is thinner in some form or fashion? Hair is looser 9 times out of 10. How is that everyone's type? If we're going based off of personality, I don't know. The infamous type is, I find that, I feel like Love Island is a really good way to see that within like racial groups, people still have the same types and they're just kind of variations of each other. Like, people date inside of their race because, you know, you're gonna find someone who's attractive who looks like you. Sometimes, most of the time. But it's funny that with the white men in Love Island, the type is petite, blonde, and light eyes. That's pretty much the go-to. A couple of them will say brunette, but for the most part, bon, we going y'all. Blonde hair, blue eyes, and you need to be small. But we're going based off personality. Okay. It's these sort of implicit biases that, I feel like I'm saying that word wrong, so I'm going to stop using it. People say these words, and of course these men don't want to flat out say, oh yeah, I date white girls, like, because they know that now in today's climate of like fake political awareness and like all this being conscious, being woke, that they can't say that because girls know that makes them look bad, so they don't want to date a guy sometimes. Because we know a couple of people who love their racist boyfriend down would be for the people. But yeah, they know that to the women that they want, an educated woman, they're not going to want someone that's racist. So they still want to signal that they prefer this type of woman. So we'll use words like brunette. They'll use words like brunette, blonde, petite, so they don't have to do the dirty work of saying, I don't want anyone fat, I don't want anyone black, I don't want anyone with disabilities, I don't want anyone that doesn't look like Hitler's wet dream, you know? So they know they can't say that, so they use these words to signal to the women what they want, what they prefer, and what they look for, what they find desirable, what they define as worth having and worth seeking. So that tells you a lot right there. So, and mind you, these signals are all, no one's saying out loud, yeah, I want white bitches. Like, No one has the balls. And honestly, I would respect whoever had the balls. Just be like, I'm not even gonna waste y'all's time. I want a white bitch. Like, just say that, friend. If that's what you want, just say that. Just say that. But they're not gonna do that because they know it looks bad. So they use these words to signal to the women like what they're looking for, what they want. And we move over to the black men because wow, the black men definitely have a higher chance of swirling. Back in business. Back in business. Y'all, get you a microfiber blanket. Y'all need one of these. Y'all need one of these. Anyways, okay, so they use these words, and the overwhelming majority of these people having this preference, and especially when what they're saying verbally is personality, but when we see in their actual behaviors without the influence of the internet, without the influence of like of different just had a thought, table that. But the fact that they're all signaling we want light or white, that's what we think is desirable. That's what we determine as, remember what the definition says, as worth having. So obviously that's gonna get at someone's self-esteem, you know, like, and it's kind of crazy. No way, that just throws the personality thing out of the window if all of y'all have that preference. So yeah, they send these signals, and then I think this really shows the textbook Western like Western political ideals of what the picture perfect couple really is, or like what is supposed to be desirable, what is the beauty standard. Because if we observe their behaviors, they're showing us that within both racial, or like all the racial groups, your proximity to whiteness is paramount. That closeness to whiteness, even down to the hair color, even down to the eye color. That's why when people think oh, colors and white people just look at we all blacks to them, that's not true. They don't even mess with other white people if their hair is too dark. Like the blonde and brunette business, people think colorism isn't real. They got colorism with hair colors. Did y'all know? Hey, they got colorism with animals. Did y'all know that dogs that have darker hair are less likely to be adopted? Black cats are less likely to be adopted as well. These people are colorist to animals, and you think they ain't colorist to your black ass? Like, oh, turn it on. I'm begging everyone to turn it on. So yeah, we see how proximity to whiteness is like paramount for all the racial groups. And I think the best example of this is Mimi and Uma. So I need a picture of Mimi, and I need a picture of Uma. 2 pictures of them. Now, this is my personal opinion, I feel like these women look similar. I feel like their eye shapes are similar. They have similar lips. They're like little Cupid's bow thing. Like they do their makeup really similar. They look alike to me. Like these girls could easily be cousins, like easily be sisters. To me, they look alike. So if you'll notice, all through the villa, from the moment before Uma got there, these men voted her best wife material. She's wifey material. She's the best one to wife. We would wife Mimi. Like this, that, and the third. As soon as Uma gets there, people immediately run to compare the two. Like, Uma's this and Mimi's that. Like, and if you pay attention, in all their comparisons, it's always alluded that Mimi is the cheaper version, or they're both good, but Mimi is obviously the lesser of the two. But they're not saying why. They won't say why. Nobody can give the reason on why. There's just something. The something in question is these girls look alike, and honestly they act similar. Like it's you can see why they became friends, because yes, Mimi is more introverted, but their sense of humor is the same. Like they're very sweet girls. Like they became friends obviously for a reason. They're very similar. So But for some reason that nobody can say, we just don't. Oh, it's just something about. It's just something about her. This one who is darker and thicker is the one that's somehow cheaper. But nobody, or it's the one that's less desirable, less worth having. Like, this is the lesser. No one can say why. We know why. And this is without the influence of the internet. This is not for show. This is, well, it's for a literal TV show. But this is what they think in a controlled environment. And people don't think that. No one's connecting the dots. Like, no one's thinking like, it's not a bit racial. I feel like maybe I'm quick. I be Dr. Umar, so I'm quick to call something racial, but I don't know. I feel like that was a textbook case of colorism. To me, to I. But, yeah. Colorism and misogynoir. That word's a tongue twister for me. So, yeah, you can really see these things come to play with the colorism and the misogynoir. Like, when Uma came, she was considered the upgrade to Mimi. But it's like, what are we upgrading? What is the upgrade in question? The proximity to whiteness. And it's not just the men that do this, because I'm finna get on the women too. I'm getting on everybody. Everybody getting a whooping. So for the women, so we know that with like colorism and like what we see as feminine and gender and like all that kind of goes out the window when it comes to black women, black femmes, the black female counterpart, quote unquote. I don't know if that's the right terminology, but that's what I mean. You get what I'm trying to say. So, yeah, it's kind of inverted. So what makes things masculine will make things feminine for the counterpart. So we can still see these same patterns take place though. So for the women, the big thing is the tall, dark, and handsome. This is the pinnacle of masculinity. They're dark. They can protect you. You know, you think you King Kong holding a white girl, you know, tall, dark, and handsome. That's what everybody like. That's what everybody want. That's the infamous type, right? So I think the girls are a little bit more willing to explore in when it comes to like looks or like types and like stuff like that. But how they treat their partners of color is very telling. But we shall get into that later. Yeah, the girls on the outside, and that's what really makes it more insidious. The girls on the outside will show more willingness, I guess, to like integrate and all those things. But in reality, it's just their actions speak differently to me, to I. So for this example, we're gonna use Ronnie from Love Island, this recent season. The season with Mimi and Aya, where I'm pulling from the same seasons. So we're gonna use Ronnie. Ronnie, baby, when Ronnie hit the scene, these white girls was in a tizzy. They was hot and bothered for him. Mind you, to me, my African American eyes, I'm seeing this man with his wig flopping. Like, I'm like, girl, your lace. I can't take. I'm looking at your lace. I can't take you seriously right now. So but baby, to these white girls, they was going crazy for him. But it was because he fit their version of tall, dark, and handsome. Now, as a black person, when I think of tall, dark, and handsome, I think of a tall black person. No, tall, dark, and handsome. What? I'm thinking of a tall, dark, and person. Tall, dark, and what? Like tall, dark, and handsome. They're not thinking of that. They are thinking of a white man with brown hair. So they don't play about that colorism with the hair. So notice the men, they want what's the most feminine. So they want the blonde hair, blue eyes. And the white women in their race group, they want what's most masculine. But still, the proximity to whiteness is super important. Even they have infighting as well. Y'all think white people just happy go? They have infighting too. So for them, the masculine counterpart is someone who has the dark eyes, the dark features, beard, tall, strong, not black, ew, because ew, you know how they are about that. But still, darkness is masculine and lightness is feminine. That's what's desirable for these groups. So that is what's worth having. That's where the value is for this group. And I'm gonna tie that value back to social currency. Walk with me, come on, you must walk with me, y'all. I'm gonna land the plane. I'm landing the plane. Just give me a second. You gotta walk with me for a minute. We still gotta go get through baggage claim. So, now to me, also, when I think, like, of all the cast of those men, for tall, dark, and handsome, I would have considered, I was not cute. You could see the evil glint in his, like, you could literally see the evil. So it's just, he's not attractive to me. And I don't like men, but, so he's not attractive to me. But I would still put him in the category of tall, dark, and handsome for, you know, the sake of argument. Manveer, everyone, they was not messing with Manveer. They did not want that man. They did not want that man. But we say tall, dark, and handsome, like this guy, beautiful skin, tall, dark, and, well, I don't know if he was tall. He may have been short. Maybe that's what it is. I gotta see what his height was. But the head full of hair, like, come on. Is this not tall, dark, and handsome? Is this not what y'all wanted? But he lacks that proximity of whiteness that'll keep their status. Because status is everything. Social currency. Stuck with me. Yes. So, yeah. Manveer was technically the textbook definition of what they were all supposed to want. But nobody, like with Mimi, nobody can quite give a good reason why. This guy was respectful, nice, all these things. Nobody could give a reason why he was undesirable, he was unattractive. And of course, because they're not saying these things. They're like, oh yeah, no, he was good, his personality, I love personality, so But nobody can give a reason why they don't actually find him desirable. Why they consider him as someone not worth having. No one can give a reason why. I know the reason why. We know the reason why. So, people think that colorism, I hate that people boil colorism down to, like, just dating and things like that, because it really does affect everything. And if or to act like it's non-existent is absolutely ludicrous, because, like, people are colorist when it comes to hair, the hair that grows out of your head, and you don't think that it would apply to anything else. That's ridiculous. And what's so insidious about it is none of these people say this, but they'll use certain words to signal what they want and to signal to other people that they view their darker counterparts as lesser. And nobody thinks it's strange. And so, sorry, I'm looking at my notes. And I doesn't think it should go without saying that I know that when it comes to, like, femininity and masculinity, first of all, okay, gender's fake. Like, we'll start there, blanket statement, gender's fake, or, like, people, gender's fluid, like, people, you know. So we'll blanket statement that. But we have seen that in Western society. Sorry, I keep holding my boobs because I'm on a period in here. In Western society, Asian men are seen as more feminine. And that's a Western idea. So it also probably does have something else to do with, that goes hand in hand with colorism as well. So, yeah, desirability is not really about, it should be about what you want and qualities in an overall human being, but we can see in these human patterns, and this happens season after season after season. We've seen in these patterns that desirability is much more about, like, the look of desire, the look of what is worth having. It's about the look of it. These people could have nothing in common. A conversation is like watching paint dry, just so boring. Like, think of Kendall and Nicole. Nicole's a nice girl. I don't mind Nicole. I like Nicole. Kendall, watching paint dry. But their interaction is so like watching paint dry. But you can just tell that their look together is so much more important than what they actually have. What do these people actually talk about? What do they actually do? Like, they don't really know nothing about each other. They don't really talk about anything. Their conversation is just, there's no real spark there. But because of the look of it, Blasia meets the Blasia Kardashian effect, it's just, you can just tell that it's about the look. So, and the fact that we see this pattern with most of the men in the villa and the women as well. We see these patterns season after season. So it's like, there has to be this, I feel like, is a true reflection of Western ideals, the Western heterosexual ideals. Somebody on Twitter said the other day, it's a performance. This is a performance. It's so much more about the look than what they actually want and what they actually desire. Because what they do, what they sneak around and do, is way more telling of what actually turns them on, what actually they want, like who they actually are in love with. So white men are the standard. How, like, I feel like with all this, the behavior shows that to them, like, white men is the standard, but sexually, like masculinity wise, black men are the standard. So we have people like Grace who understand they have top choice because of their proximity to whiteness. Blonde hair, blue eyes, thin. She knows her status. She knows she can have the pick of the litter because socially, and that's how we get into these power structures, she knows that she's at the top of the food chain in those areas. So she also knows that masculinity, that tall, dark, and handsome, that most closely identifies with black men. So she's having to taste all these dudes. There's no reason why this girl has tried. That girl has kissed every black man in there. Period. If there is a black man on the scene, to get the nickname Greedy Grace, like, she's getting a piece of the pie. But she wants to taste everything. But when she gets with her white man, it's, like, we get the Emmett Till, we get like, he was coming on to me, I'm clutching my pearls, I don't want him, like, he was just, I don't know why he doing this, I don't know what's happening. So we have people like Grace who understand the power dynamic to try her best to play up both sides. She knows that she's supposed to be with the white man. It's the best look. It's the best for what we see as a picture of a perfect cis heterosexual family. This is what's perfect. This is the standard, the beauty standard. So she knows that's how she would have the best chance of winning, because it's based off of America's vote, or the UK's vote. It's based off of the Western population's vote. So she knows this is what looks best on paper. This is her best way to win, to get everyone in. But she is more attracted sexually to black men. But because of the power dynamics and desirability, she uses her black male counterparts to explore her sexuality. But at the end of the day, she's going to go back to what her safest choice is, which would be this other, her blonde-haired, blue-eyed, white male counterpart. And we see this phenomenon all the time in the U.S. It's so common that, like, it's something that mothers warn their sons about, that, these women, they just see them as a sexual being, because in most Western society, people see black people as sexual objects. Tools to be used. Black people have been tools for their white counterparts since their inception into Western society. So black people have always been something to use, not someone, not a person, something to use, a means to an end. So that's how we saw Grace go through six, seven. I don't even remember how many. It's like 6 or 8 men. And she didn't really stop messing with her white counterpart. She didn't stop going back to her until he dropped her for an even thinner, blonder white woman. So it's just the proximity to whiteness. They know that that's what is worth having. That's what is worth putting on the pedestal. They know that with the Western population, that is what's most desirable as well. So people are going to do what's safest. And we could see the same thing in, like, I feel like racial dynamics are different in the different racial groups. People have their own standards, but for the most part, it's all the same because we saw the same thing with Uma and the black people. Uma, Mimi, and the black people in the villa. Uma understood that in black culture, black society, she would be the standard of beauty. Lighter eyes, lighter skin, thinner. That's just how it goes. Looser hair. That's just how it goes. So, but because of desirability, what she saw as someone worth having, as someone who was biracial, who lived, well, she lived in, I can't remember where she lived. She's living in Western society, so. I'm sorry, I gotta look at what I wrote. She wanted someone lighter than her. Her type was blonde hair, light eyes, with Joey Essex. I don't even remember the boy name. He's so awful. Jack Max, something. I don't know. Something white, boring. I don't remember. But Will. Yeah. Will and Joey. Light eyes, white. That was her standard because they have that proximity to whiteness that she doesn't have as a biracial woman, because it's blonde hair, blue at the top, and then, light-eyed, darker, thinner at the bottom. So, because it's like diet whites to them. It still can be exoticized, like fetishized in a sense. So, they have that proximity to whiteness that Uma craves because she knows she's going to come in second place when it comes to that. She can't cash her proximity to whiteness in black society or black culture versus white society, white culture. She can't cash the same check. She doesn't have the same amount, and that's how social currency comes into play. She is not worth the same. She doesn't have the same worth having. She doesn't have the same attention. She doesn't have that same worth in white society because your proximity to whiteness is paramount. So if blonde hair, blue eyes right here, you're darker, you have that's how the one drop rule, people keep the one drop rule, but it's actually insane to think that because one drop of blackness is in you, that quote unquote spoils the other 99% of the white blood that runs in you. Like, that's, y'all, that's not a compliment. That's not good. So that's not good. Black people, please, like, I hate it. This is how we really see the one drop rule come into play. So yeah. So, and we can honestly see with both these white people, they treat their non-black partners as honestly a plaything just for the exploration. It's really about the fetish. It's about the look of the fetish. And because they know it with them brownie points socially as well. It's an ego boost. It's to stroke the ego, because they know that they're darker and in their mind, lesser counterparts are just soaking up, just basking in their whiteness. They so happy in light skin, just basking in that whiteness and enjoying that proximity that being with someone who is lighter brings them to, and their mind. So, and I don't think I'm wrong because we see it every season, y'all. We see it every season. So yeah, I'm going to use that and then swerve into the desirability was the bulk of it. That's the undercarriage. That's the meat and potatoes for most of this. So now we're going to segue into social currency. So social currency is defined as the personal assets and attributes of an individual that help them succeed in interactive social channels. So these are skill sets, attributes, appearances, traits that people have that can help them advance socially. Desirability to me begets social currency, which begets desirability, and it's like a chicken versus the egg type of deal, or that's how I like to think about it. What's worth having is like the coins that in social currency is the bank. That's how you can cash a check. But the money that's in the cash, walk with me, y'all. Stay with me, stay with me, stay with me. I'm trying to explain it like how I'm seeing it in my mind. You get what I'm saying? It's like, it's chicken and the egg. They feed off of what we determine as desirable. What we determine also as what others should have as well. So it all feeds off of each other. So yeah. So to be desirable, that means that you have something worth desiring. The thing in question that is worth desiring is social currency. Does society see you as someone worth having? It's not even about what you want anymore. It's about what society as a whole, do they think that this person is worth having? And because you made this choice, should we trust you in other choices with like socially, job-wise? If you can make this choice on what's worth having, if you can determine the value of this, can you determine the value of like other things? That's how social currency plays a part. So the overarching question, or the overall arching thing that Love Island kind of says subconsciously is, does society see you as something or someone worth having? And y'all gotta remember that Western society was built on capitalism. And for America, especially the USA, especially, like, America runs on capitalism. So we're attaching the price to everything. I mean, we already have prices for the human life. And y'all know how expensive these medical bills. Actually, I'm not gonna say that on camera, but these bills, these medical bills, these hospitals, if you do not pay that bill, they're not helping you worth a damn. So we've already like quantified the human life. We've already quantified all these things. So America runs on capitalism. Especially black people in particular, black people have always been a commodity. The only reason why we're in this country is because we were commodified. Capitalism was built around and started with slavery. So it's always been about worth, money, how much we're worth, our money's worth, labor, always something to be consumed, worked. We've never not been commodified. So obviously your social currency, and fast forward, is worth everything. There's so much history behind it that's affecting these things that it's affecting so much subconsciously that people don't even realize it. But I feel like Love Island, it's a controlled environment. So you see how this plays out. Generations later, we're still running in the wheel. It's crazy. But, yeah. So this is how we see the social currency. This is how we see the power dynamics come to play. Let me explain that. So the power dynamics come into play in Western society. Having a perfect family should be the end all be all for primarily women. For women, the most they need to worry about is love. You don't need to learn how to use a gun. You don't need to learn how to like build a fire. You don't need to learn how to change tire. You don't need to know anything. You don't need to know useful things. Love is your top. You don't need to know how to defend yourself. Love is the top. So in a heterosexual, like, Western civilization, like, women's top priority is love, family building. Like, we say love, but it's really just having babies, producing. Because remember, women aren't people. Women are also a commodity. You're a wife, you're a mother, you're not a person. You're whatever. Your value is in what you are to your male counterpart. So that's where the women's social currency, their value in society, their status, that's where that comes in. So they know that's where their social currency is. So because of this tips the scale and puts the men in power, because they are supposed to be the one that does the choosing socially. So they have that power, and desirability comes into play, as in, okay, who is worth choosing? Who is worth having? If men are implicitly supposed to have the power to choose, then who is worth being chosen? And that's where the pick-me phenomenon comes in because they're jumping through it, asking, choose me, choose me, choose me, choose me, choose me, because they desperately want to cash in and be a part of society and push up their social currency to give that status a push. So, and then we see this in Love Island because if you are not chosen, if you are not deemed desirable, if you are not worth having, you get sent home. No cash prize for you. They're putting your ass on the first Spirit flight back to whatever buttfuck town you came from. So we see the literal. If you are not desirable, then you are not worth having, and we see the effects of that on this show. So for this, like I said, it tips the scale and the stakes are higher for women. So yeah. So yeah, we see that with the consequences, like in real life, if you are not deemed worth having, you will be ostracized and you will be othered. You'll have less opportunities. Someone will immediately start thinking, oh, well, what's wrong with you? Why don't people begin to pick apart who you are as a person? Because why aren't you desirable? Why aren't you worth having? Why? It gives an implication. Okay, so we're going to treat you like you are worthless. And on the flip side, we're going to reward who we think, and who Western society, who vote on these couples, who we think is the perfect pairing. And yeah, who is worth having. And the power play comes in because choosing this right person will get you a $100,000 cash prize. You will be rewarded. If you choose the right person, if you have the perfect family, you will be rewarded. And if you don't, you will be othered and you will be treated as we have decided, we have came to the consensus of that, in which is you are worthless. So the power with picking and the power of being the hope of the social rise with hoping to be picked is everything. This is the bare bones of the show. This is what keeps this running. So, and if you think I'm wrong, it's called a trophy wife for a reason. That's how we get these terms like this, trophy wife. You're up for display. The heterosexuality, it's the femininity, masculinity, all these elements, it's a performance. So you're a trophy, you won, you get put on the shelf instead of left on the street and othered. So yeah, the most desirable pairing is how you win the game of the show and in real life. They're called trophy wives for a reason. This is a woman worth having. That's what the trophy, that's what's in the alt text for someone calling you a trophy wife or being a trophy wife. What it says on the little plaque at the bottom, this person is worth having. It stamps you of your value. Having that ring, especially when we think of putting the ring on someone, kind of like, I got you the nicest collar with the most expensive collar in the world, the most expensive ring in the world. It acts as a collar and shows the price of this woman. This woman is worth having. Look how much I spent. So yeah. So the social currency for being the perfect wife, the pick-me's, the reason this is the reason why they want to be picked so bad. That being the perfect wife ensures that you have, oh wait, no, I said that wrong. So yeah, the trophy wife. Men want a trophy wife because, here I wrote, having the perfect wife ensures that you have the perfect home, smart, well-mannered kids, and social currency, clout, with other men. Men, as we all know, in Western society, men are the only people worth impressing. Men are the only people worth proving something to. The only people men are the only people whose other opinions they're going to value. So So having a woman that other men have determined as worth having is essential. Like this is the most important thing. Fuck if I love this bitch. I do my niggas. Do my bleep that. Do other men will pass up on the love of their lives because they homies don't think she's fine. They like if it's I don't know, or well I do know. The social currency, if men do not think that having this woman will boost their social standing, they'll pass up on the love of their lives. They don't give a fuck. They will pass up on the love of their lives and treat them like garbage because they know that ultimately they would have nothing to gain socially from dating this person who's lesser to them, and lesser this to them is more than likely someone who's darker, someone who is disabled, someone who doesn't have the same social weight and the same social currency as dating like a girl off of IG with the followers to match the currency, you know? So, and if you think like, oh, well, that's not it's a preference. If it's all just preference and all that, there's a reason why certain men will bring their wives to a business meeting. They call it like sweetening the deal. Like just by showing like, yes, I have chosen this person. This shows business wise, money wise, I can properly assess what the value of something is. I can properly assess. I make good choices. And I can be trusted with this business proposal thing. There's a reason why people have the whole, oh, let's let our wives need to meet, and they use their wives to pass information and all this kind of stuff. There is value in having a woman who can act as like the silent negotiator in these types of deals. So the social currency aspect is real. They don't play about that. I know women feel like women are a little bit more lenient in that sense, but because ultimately they don't have the power of choosing in Western society. I mean, they could take the power if they want to, but like, you know, bitches is scared, so they could easily take that power back if they wanted to, but bitches is scared. And then, you know, feminism, misogyny, there's a lot of things at play. So people follow patterns. That's safest. So it's safest to move in patterns. So people are going to follow these patterns. This clout that they get, this social currency, like, oh, I fuck with this girl, I fuck with that one. It's everything. So, yes, that's how the social currency and power dynamic come into play, especially with men when it comes to Western civilization. The clout is everything to them. And the thing is, what people don't understand is these women want to be picked so bad, but what they don't understand is that just because you are the pinnacle of this thing isn't necessarily going to ensure that just because these people say and allude to you being the better counterpart, your value isn't that much, because at the end of the day, you're just a pet. They're still going to treat you like shit, because at the end of the day, you're not a person. You're not actually better than that woman, even if they told you that's true. You're a pet. You're a means to an end. So you still going to get cheated on. They probably gonna beat the shit out of you, because we see this happen all the time with these men that they post everywhere, and this is the baddest bitch. And then we saw with Diddy and Cassie, he boosted Cassie up as, oh, she foreign, this is the baddest bitch. All you other bitches, you know, used her to make his dark-skinned wife jealous, all these other things, and beat the shit out of her still. Gave her that false sense of safety, that false sense of safety from the thought of being picked as like a drug. And it's like a narcotic for these women, because it makes them feel safe in society. They're safe in the patriarchy. They're safe. They're safe in the colorism. They're safe in all these implicit biases that keep them, you know, from having to work a 9-to-5 or do whatever. So they're ready to run headfirst into it, falsely thinking that they'll be saved from the same fate because of these ideals that they're holding on to. They don't want to let go. So So yeah, that's how those power dynamics come into play. That's how social currency and desirability come into play. And on the aspect of like social media and all that, because social media does play a part in Love Island with the voting and then getting out of the island and like seeing what people think and all that kind of stuff. It does play a part. And I feel like people ask like, oh my god, like why these people are acting crazy, or like these people are acting so evil, how do they not see, how do they not know, like what the hell, like you're being watched by millions of people, like why would you do that, X, Y, and Z. And what y'all gotta understand is that we already live in a surveillance state. We've been groomed to be comfortable with the surveillance state for years, decades in the making. Think about it. Y'all are like, oh, how are they comfortable doing this on the internet? These people tweet their every thought. We're literally live tweeting a show right now. We're all participating in the surveillance. Like, people post what they're eating, and not to say I'm guilty of I love taking a picture of my food and posting it. Yes, I be eating so good, y'all. Yes, when I do post, I love posting what I be eating. So it's not to say that I don't participate in these things. We're all guilty of these things because, like I said, we're groomed to be in a surveillance state. So we're posting everything we're doing. People are posting their intimate baby pictures. People are post their families, where they go to school, what they do, where they work, what they're eating at lunch today, what they homegirl. People be telling other people business, not even just your business, other people on the internet. We're used to just, and then not even to mention like the Alexas, or we joke about it all the time, but like these companies have already gotten sued and had to pay settlements for listening to our conversations on our phone without us knowing. Like our phone, we all joke about our phones listening to us. Like we already live in a surveillance. Just got freaked out. We all live, and I'm talking to y'all on the phone. We all live in a surveillance state. We're all willing participants already. So these people have already been groomed to act for the camera, to do things for the camera. And then y'all gotta remember, it's not just like, oh, dude, it's a cash prize. So when it comes to gotta remember, America runs on capitalism. Western society runs on capitalism. And slavery started with people exploiting each other, different tribes exploiting each other, people using people of the lesser class to exploit each other's in hopes of rising socially or getting financial gain. So these people are willingly exploiting themselves and each other because they know that socially, and in our today's society, followers, like what your follower account is, who you know, who you're plugged in with, that socially is the prime ticket right now. That is the golden ticket, your social media. So people know that just going on the show, even if they lose, even if they don't find Larv, they're still gonna get that. Even if they don't get the cash prize, they're gonna get at least like 100,000 followers. They know that it's a big social push. The social currency, it's like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. It's the same story. Like, this is the golden ticket. And if I can get to use this golden ticket, then maybe I can go here and do this and elevate in this way. So they're more than willing to exploit themselves. They're more than willing to show up for the camera because they've been groomed to make this decision already. Love Island and Squid Games is the same, y'all. It's about social currency. It's about what you're willing to do, how you're willing to exploit yourself, and how you're willing to let the Western society exploit you. Because getting chosen is everything. Being what is worth having and being chosen is like paramount. So we already, look, I'm trying to see what I wrote because I really ate. So yeah, capitalism, capitalism is the root of everything. So these people are more than willing to cash this check and take the risk and exploit themselves because they know that the social currency that they'll gain, which is social followers, we're talking brand deals, getting flown out to trips, and then having the proximity to other celebrities where they can date, mingle, move up these ladders. It's more than worth it to them. And it feels like one of the only shots that they got, because they know that their odds are stacked as people, especially like people that are of a minority. They know that their chances are slimmer. There's a lot more riding on it. So yeah, Love Island is Squid Games. Love Island is the Stanford Prison Experiment. Reality TV, just like I love reality TV. I watch Baddies, Zeus. I am on someone's Zeus network. Now that's TV. I have participated in watching, but you have to still be critical of the media that you consume. And if you pay attention to what you're consuming, you'll see a lot of behaviors that confirm a lot of things that American society doesn't want you to look into, doesn't want you to confirm. They don't want you to think for yourself and notice these patterns. But it's just like, understand that nothing exists in a vacuum, and you should really think about everything. And honestly, it's fun to think. Like, just, you should think critically about everything that you can consume. The music you listen to, everything. So, yeah. That's why I watch reality shows like a serial killer. I don't know. Yeah, my brain is huge. I don't know. Sorry, I don't know. Yeah, my huge brain. So yeah, my brain is big. Love Island is Squid Games. Good night. Like and subscribe. Let me know what I should do next. Honestly, don't expect another big brain conversation with me. I'm probably gonna do like a thrift haul or something. But yeah, bye. I gotta go to work.